Today, 4 newcomers in the starting lineup for the Panthers, who are in the home whites in their season opener in the 5th year for Jeff Cable.
A game away from the NCAA tournament. And no nerves in the opening game at Cameron Indoor. Osai Osifo drills it to open the scoring. This is a veteran group taking on an inexperienced yet talented Duke team tonight.
And when we spoke with Jon Scheyer at shoot-around, he was concerned about it.
Hello! College basketball is back. Mark Mitchell. How about that start for the freshman?
And we saw that exact same play in shoot-around this afternoon. They worked on that play, and the pass was on point. Beautiful start for Duke offensively.
Take a look at the Jacksonville starting 5. You were just talking about how Jon Scheyer was concerned about their experience, how they've got the age advantage in this one. Wide open 3, Jordan Davis off the mark. This is Kyle Filipowski tangled up and commits the foul. Take another look. Can't think of a better start to the college basketball season than this one.
Well, watch the screen. This is key right here. Beautiful screen by Ryan, and then the pass is on point. Young players take note. Ryan, the veteran, setting a beautiful back screen, well-executed play. And again, that's something they worked on multiple times this afternoon in shoot-around.
Tough take, hangs in the air and gets it up and in. Jacksonville has come in and they are not shy. That's Dylan O'Hearn, the transfer from NJIT.
That's beautiful offense, and look for Duke to try to establish Ryan Young early.
Filipowski a 3, too much on it. One of 3 freshmen starting in a very highly touted freshman class. You're still going to have to wait to see the top 2 recruits, though. Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead both ruled out tonight. They start the season on the injured list, but Jon Scheyer told us he hopes they'll be back sooner rather than later. Deep 3, rattles in and out, no good. Offensive rebound falls to Jordan Davis. The floater, no good. Another offensive rebound for Jacksonville. Wide open 3. Davis misfires, and finally Duke can end the possession. Mitchell on the move, denied at the rim, gathers, count it, plus the foul. Mark Mitchell has all 4 points to start the Jon Scheyer era tonight for Duke.
Just a great individual effort right here. Gets it blocked, sticks with the play, and then great body control. And they are so high on this young man. Long arms. And when I spoke to assistant coach Carrywell, he said he reminded him a little bit of Stacey Ogden going back to the UNLV days. He said he's a wiry guy, just understands how to play, and they love his motor.
So we mentioned Lively and Whitehead are out as Duke goes full court press for the first time tonight. But still a really talented freshman class without those guys. When they add them back in, that's why people think Duke will be a top team in the country.
And this Jacksonville game, though, poses some problems without those 2 guys. Jon Scheyer and staff are concerned about the size advantage that Jacksonville has.
Right on cue, they go inside, and Omar Payne hammers it home. Transfer from Illinois. Went to Montverde Academy, same high school as Derek Whitehead, one of the top performing feeder programs in the college game in the country, so you know he's got talent inside. Roach, acrobatic, and gets it to go.
He has just continued to improve. That's a big time play there, under control. Getting his team back on top. One of the better guards, not just in the ACC, but in college basketball, Jeremy Roach.
Kevion Nolan. Jacksonville goes inside again. This time Mike Marsh, bodied up by Ryan Young, who forces the turnover. Transition 3, Roach. It's good!
Jay, that's all set up. A beautiful play by Mitchell in transition.
Fouled on the three, so Jacksonville will get 3 at the line with Kevion Nolan when we come back. But the fireworks have already started here in Durham. Didn't take much. Meet the freshman Mark Mitchell and then Jeremy Roach. Are so good. Duke's got an early lead, 10-6. Blue Devils 4 of 6 from the floor. All 10 points scored by just 2 guys, Jeremy Roach and the talented freshman Mark Mitchell.
Jay, on the other side, when we spoke to Jacksonville coach Jordan Mincy, he said 2 key areas for them. They cannot turn the ball over. No live ball turnovers to get Duke out in transition for easy buckets. And then he said, we must control the pace and try to work the ball into the paint, get high percentage shots.
5 seconds to shoot. Marsh trying to back down. Double team comes in, swatted away by Mark Mitchell. Roach, another 3. Got it again! Jeremy Roach is red hot to start this season.
He is just picking up right where he left off. We talked about the tournament run that he had. Arguably one of the better guards in all of college basketball last year during the NCAA tournament, and he is shooting the ball lights out that time. Pull up 3.
Duke on an 8-0 run. O'Hearn, exactly what Jacksonville needed. Hard to the hole, and that stops a 8-0 run for Duke. Blue Devils have made their last 4 shots.
Yeah, and O'Hearn made that look easy. Tough adjustment in the air, able to concentrate, kiss it off the glass.
Mitchell through traffic. Kept alive. Great ball fake. Mitchell right to the rack, lays it up and in for 2.
It's so easy to see why they are so high and excited about this young man. Excellent decision that time, not settling for a jumper.
Jeremy Roach and Mark Mitchell still have combined for all of Duke's points tonight. Jacksonville's done a nice job getting to the rim, found success that time, Mike March.
Yeah, and they continue to use their size, something that Duke and the staff were concerned about. And Jacksonville, again, rightfully so now, trying not to settle for jumpers, get the ball into the paint or try to crash the offensive glass.
Offensive rebound, good opportunity. Mitchell couldn't put it home. Can you believe we're saying that about an A-Sun team, against an ACC team and Duke, that Jacksonville's actually the one with the quote-unquote size and experience tonight?
Yeah, and obviously with Derek Whitehead and Lively out, that's probably the big reason why they have that size advantage, missing those 2 big bodies for Duke. But make no mistake about it, they are a very good defensive team, and then they're very good on the glass.
They've got a terrific head coach as well. Officials blow the play dead, hit the shot clock there. So it'll be Duke basketball. Mincy trying to get an explanation. Jordan Mincy, we just showed in his first season, goes 21-10, most wins that Jacksonville has had in program history since 1986. How do you even follow that up?
Buy stock now, now of Jordan Mincy.
Gave him a contract extension through 2031.
Yeah, he is really good. One of the bright young minds, and he has done an outstanding job, as you said, year 1, getting this thing going in the right direction.
A heat check for Jeremy Roach that misfires. Roach leads the way with 8 points. That's what you expected, Huck. I mean, he's the lone returning starter from that Final Four team a year ago, surrounded by a lot of transfers and freshmen, so no surprise they're going to number 3 early and often.
Yeah, and Jon Scheyer said, look, he needs to impact the game, not just with his scoring, being a playmaker, but I think the key thing in this game against a very good guard in Kevion Nolan, on the defensive end, set the tone defensively for this unit.
Great passing, wide open three. Blakes makes Jacksonville pay. Jalen Blakes, the sophomore.
That's probably the best offensive possession in this early season for Duke. Ball movement, going left to right, and then sharing the ball. Can't ask for a better look.
And once you get the crazies going, they'll make you pay as well.
All set up again by Mitchell. I really like how he drives, and he's not always looking to score. Extra pass. You cannot ask for a better offensive possession if you're Jon Scheyer. Now Jacksonville in a zone.
Duke shooting right over it. Missed that one with Grandison. Comes in from Illinois after starting the last 2 seasons for them in the Big Ten. Kevion Nolan fires up a three. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And look out. If Kevion Nolan heats up, that could be problems tonight.
Jon Scheyer had high praise for Nolan. He said he is a guy that could be a high major guy. He is really impressed with his game, and he said, look, Jeremy Roach is going to spend most of the time on him. Right now Blakes is on him, but that's going to be a key matchup for Duke as this game progresses.
And Nolan had options to play professionally overseas, could have went into the portal and probably end up at a Power 5 program, but decided to come back to Jacksonville to finish what he started, get back to that ASUN championship game. Called for a travel here. It's a new season, a new head coach for Duke, but the same Cameron Crazies. Blue Devils up 7.
Starts off, beautiful pinpoint passing, showing off the hops right here. Effort play. This is what they love about this young man, his energy. He's so versatile. And speaking with the coaching staff, they think he can be an elite defender, but I'm liking this right here. His decision making, I think they can run their offense through him. He can rebound and lead the break, and he's made some nice passes that have led to some open opportunities for his teammates.
Certainly can score too. He led the McDonald's All-American game with 19 points. It was funny, we were talking to Jon Scheyer before the game about Mark Mitchell. He said when he was recruiting him out of high school, he was a little concerned that his nickname is Easy. He's like, I hope that doesn't mean you're easy to beat off the dribble. As Blake drills another three, Jalen Blakes gives Duke their largest lead of the night at 10.
And Jon Scheyer went out of his way to talk about Jalen Blakes. He said, listen, he is going to be a key person for us, in particular on the defensive end. But if he's able to knock down shots like that off of excellent ball movement we're seeing early, that's just a bonus.
Doing it with defense as well. Blakes did well to get a hand in there. Didn't see a ton of action a year ago, but was a part of that team that went to the Final Four. And you could see that he's trying to take that leap from freshman to sophomore year to Duke uniform.
And the message to him was defend, don't turn the ball over and knock down shots. Early on in this game, he is going by that formula.
Rattles in and out for Dillard O'Hearn. He's the sharpshooter for Jacksonville. Filipowski, he's got range. Can't show it off there, but at 7 foot, he's a dangerous player on both sides of the ball. Number 2 center in the 2022 class. He's only behind his teammate Derek Lively. Jacksonville struggling from beyond the arc, just 1 of 6, and they're at a scoring drought of 2.5 minutes now. Roach draws the contact, and a charge is the call. Wednesday, we'll have the men's soccer championship semifinals for you in the ACC tournament. 3rd-seeded Virginia take it on 2nd-seeded Syracuse at 5 Eastern, and then 8th-seeded Clemson, who upset undefeated Duke in the quarters, take it on Wake Forest. Both matches right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. And then the winner of those games play for an ACC title Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPNU. As a college sports fan, there's no better time than when the fall sports and basketball season and the winter sports start to overlap here in November and December. Constant action.
Well, you had me at college basketball is starting. To me right now, you're absolutely right. Best time in sports. And Jay, this place really, you know, we've talked about it. I mean, one of the most difficult places to play in, so loud. And
you played here your freshman year.
It's my second college game, and to this day, I'm still trying to find a place that was louder than in here. And certainly got ugly with the likes of Grant Hill and Kristen Leitner in the second half. We're starting 4 freshmen, but I can tell you right now, nothing has changed on that end. The Cameron Crazies are still out here making a lot of noise.
No Coach K on the sidelines, but this is still the same Duke basketball. The traditions, the brotherhood, all things that Jon Scheyer wants to keep as he starts his tenure. Jacksonville's had success going inside tonight. They get a and-one opportunity coming up.
And beautiful high-low action right here. And Marsh does a nice job sealing the big right there and then finish with the left hand. You know, Jacksonville early on, and that's something that Coach Mincy talked about, they have to withstand these runs by Duke early. He's like, look, we know they're going to go on runs. We have to control the pace and continue to do that right there. Get the ball in the paint, either off the bounce or try to get your big some touches.
Haven't seen too much from Tyrese Proctor tonight. He takes the ball up here. Prospect that reclassified from 2023 to 2022, comes over from Australia, number 5 in white. They have high hopes for him. Here he is with the ball, gets it inside. Excellent passing, Ryan Young, an easy finish inside.
And Filipowski, that is a beautiful find, great patience. I love the change up of zone that time by Jacksonville. That's just better offense by Duke. Get it to the high post, and then your bigs make nice passes.
Right to the rack, no answer. Blake's calling for it and gets it. He's 2 for 2 from 3, that one off the mark. Filipowski lost the handle, straight into the hands of Jordan Davis, who cashes in underneath.
Jacksonville hanging around in this one, only down 7, and I like the changeup. That really has changed the pace of this game, going to that 2-3 matchup zone.
Foul called against Mike Marsh. College basketball is back. Jon Scheyer at Duke up 7. ACC Network as we get the college basketball season started. Obviously, you know, we're on ACC Network. We've spoken a lot about Duke and Jon Scheyer tonight, but let's give Jacksonville some love. A team that went to the ASUN championship a year ago, totally overachieved in year 1 of Jordan Mincy being the head coach. They're pick number 2 preseason. This is a team that you could absolutely see in the NCAA tournament come March.
Absolutely, and look no further than what the Duke coaching staff said about it. Said, look, this is by no means a cakewalk first game. They have veteran players. They're led by a guy in Kevion Nolan that is arguably one of the better guards, not just in the ASUN, but in college basketball. So this is no freebie for Duke to start off the season.
Jacob Grandison called for a travel. Now, early impressions of these freshmen for Jon Scheyer, a really highly touted class, and they're still missing the top 2 players in that class, Derek Lively and Derek Whitehead, who are both out still with nagging injuries. But Mark Mitchell, the energy he's brought to the floor, both sides of the ball, has really impressed me. As Jacksonville cuts it to 5.
And Mike Marsh continues to impress, that time showing off some touch from the foul line. He's posted, and that time they continue to back off, takes a nice little floater that time from the foul line.
Mitchell driving the baseline, trying to muscle it up and in. Foul on the floor, called against Jacksonville.
I think, Jay, you're seeing, though, them missing the big bodies. Whitehead and Lively, those 2 guys bring that rim protection, right? With those two out, they really don't have a rim protector in the lineup, and that's hurting them, obviously, against a team like Jacksonville that wants to get the ball into the paint.
Five seconds to shoot. Roach lost the dribble. Jacksonville with a head of steam. Coast to coast and drawing the foul. Jordan Davis unafraid.
The change of defense. They've changed it up. They've gone man. They've gone back to that matchup zone, and then they've been opportunistic in transition. They want to play at a slower pace, but that time off the turnover, heads up play, get out before that Duke defense can get set.
Saturday morning, get your college football. Saturday start at 11 a.m. Eastern time. The ACC huddle crew will be in Syracuse to get you set. Everything you need to know in the ACC, and then primetime matchup between Florida State and Syracuse, 8 o'clock, all right here on ACC Network. Just like that, Jacksonville on a 6-0 run. They've cut it to 3, one-possession game with less than 6:30 left in this first half. Grandison left alone, too much on it. And the rebound ripped away by Mike Marsh. This Jacksonville team, really impressive. They went down by 10 and they are battling back, unafraid to open the season at Cameron Indoor.
And I like the pace that they're playing at. They're running when they have opportunities, but otherwise they're keeping this pace slow.
Deep three contested. Kevion Nolan. Roach from 3. He hits it! Jeremy Roach, his third 3 of the night. He leads Duke with 11.
Well, easy to see why he is the lone captain on this Duke team. They need his leadership, and he's sensing his team needed a bucket. He continues to impress with his play on the offensive side.
Jacksonville trying to answer, and they do. Mike Marsh feasting underneath. He leads the Dolphins with 9.
Looking like a tight end that time, like Gronk. I mean, that is a great catch and finish. The big fella showing off the hands.
Mark Mitchell, the immediate answer. Davis, the runner, goes begging. Mitchell for 3. Air ball. Grandison's there to lay it up and in. Call it a pass from the freshman Mitchell. Timeout, Jacksonville. The Dolphins had cut it to 3, but Duke immediately Mike Marsh leading the way.
Yeah, he's been impressive on the offensive glass. He's been a monster. He's done a nice job establishing position. He's got a great set of hands, and then the passing. This has been excellent for them. Find a soft spot, and then they found him, and you can't ask for a better catch and finish from your big right there. I think what's hurting Duke right now is their ball screen coverage. Marsh is setting screens. He's diving hard. The rotations are late, and Jacksonville's doing a nice job finding him.
How about this for Jacksonville? They're shooting 45% from the floor. If you take away the three-point attempts where they're 1 of 7, they're shooting 9 of 15. If they can keep getting it inside, that's the soft spot for Duke defensively right now.
Yeah, and I think right now, watch ball screen coverage for Duke. The bigs got to do a better job hedging on these screens, and then the rotations have to be quicker.
O'Hearn, pull-up pop, left it short. Jeremy Roach leads the way with 11.
Jacksonville back in man-to-man.
Works out for him. They get the steal. Now can they convert on the other end? Omar Payne. Jacksonville's getting good looks. Trying to shrink this deficit. Can't get it to go. O'Hearn pulls the trigger from 3. Jacksonville's missed their last 5. Mitchell right to the rack and hammers it home. Mark Mitchell putting on a show in his Duke debut.
Love his energy and activity. That time showing off the handle and body control, and then the strong finish for the freshman.
He has 9. He's doing it on both ends of the floor. Great feed inside. The finish from Mike Marsh again. He's 5 of 6 from the floor. Leads Jacksonville with 11.
And credit Jacksonville again, the patience, and they are picking apart this Duke defense on the screen and rolls. Rotations continue to be an issue for Duke.
Mitchell calling for it. Roach on the drive, absorbs the contact, it rolls in. The lone returning starter from last year's Final Four team, picking up where he left off.
And it's just an understanding. Jon Scheyer and his staff, they said, look, he is just so sure of himself this year. Obviously, the end to the season last year was playing some really good ball his last 10 to 12 games, but this year he is the leader, and he's a guy that just has a great feel for the game.
Kevion Nolan weaving his way in. Denied at the rim. Omar Karesi couldn't squeeze through. Filipowski, a trailing 3. It's good! Kyle Filipowski showing off the range.
All set up by Jeremy Roach. That's what your leader does. Make the game easier for the other guys. Beautiful setup and transition that time by Jeremy Roach.
And Filipowski rips down the rebound on the other end. The 5-star freshman showing off. Proctor for 3. Filipowski offensive rebound, and now Duke can hold for the last shot. Roach decides not to, though, and that's why! There is another one!
Well, for a guy that shot 32%, man, he's on fire.
What an end to this first half for Jon Scheyer in his Duke debut as head coach. Largest lead of the night, 42-26. They finished the first half on a 12-2 run. Jeremy Roach leading the way. He's got 16. Duke up big at halftime. You do return one starter from last year's Final Four team. That's Jeremy Roach. With him on the floor, look at that, plus 21. With him on the bench, -5. So it all starts with number 3, Jeremy Roach.
I think it's simple. They need him on the floor, and we said it right at the top. His leadership was going to be key for this Duke team. Transfers and some young, talented players, freshmen coming in. His leadership really, I think, is going to be the key for this Duke season.
Tried to go high-low into Ryan Young.
Well, it was there, just pass was not on point. Missed opportunity. Have your post player 2 feet into paint. You got to make that pass.
And Kyle Filipowski, the scouting report on the 5-star freshman is he is an extremely talented passer at 7 foot. It's his birthday today, turns just 19 years old. And that number 30 for the Blue Devils. Matched up with Osai Osifo right now. Trying to body him up. Got a piece of it. Great defense from the birthday boy, Filipowski. And now trying to make it happen on the other end. Rejected at the rim. Kevion Nolan. Only 3 points in that first half for Jacksonville's leading scorer from a year ago. Five seconds to shoot. Osifo. How about that? Nice job. Osai Osifo ran the baseline, got the feed, slammed it home.
And that's more what Jacksonville wants. Be patient offensively. Make this Duke team defend. Don't shoot early in the shot clock, and then use your size. That time, excellent ball movement.
Mitchell in the corner. Can't connect. Jacksonville looking for a spark, trying to do too much there.
Well, this is a great start of the second half, trying to get back in this game. Jacksonville, great individual effort that time defensively. And then right here, pick and roll. That continues to be an issue for Duke. Ball screen coverage on the back end. The rotations continue to be a little late. That time, Jacksonville able to get a dunk.
Proctor. Everything but the finish for the Australian. Still looking for his first collegiate points. Offensive foul. And that's 3 against Osai Osifo. It's been great when he's been on the court, but foul trouble going against these Duke bigs.
And back to the first half that Duke had. The 12 assists and only 5 turnovers against a very good Jacksonville defense. And mainly because this guy right here has had the ball in his hand, Jeremy Roach.
Fouled on the drive. Nifty inbounds move led to an open 3 that Roach can't cash in on. Duke's yet to score in this second half. Can Jacksonville take advantage? Stolen away. 4-on-2 for Duke. Proctor a transition 3. Off the mark. Young. What a job to keep that in play. Proctor. 2 really good looks that he couldn't connect on either one of them. But Ryan Young, how about that enthusiasm from the transfer from Northwestern.
And Jeremy Roach almost got hurt right there on the floor. Excellent opportunity right there. Again, Duke getting a wide open look off an excellent dribble drive and kick. And that's just all work by Ryan Young on the offensive glass.
It played for Chris Collins, obviously former Duke assistant. Was on staff with Jon Scheyer before taking over at Northwestern. So very familiar with how things are run. Said same drills being conducted in Northwestern that there are at Duke, and he's come in and provided a big spark for this Blue Devils team.
And Scheyer had a little laugh with us, and I said, all right, you sure I can share this on there? So yeah, he had 4 years of bad coaching at Northwestern. But all jokes aside, so much respect for Chris Collins. And he said, look, I called him. We had a conversation. I wanted to make sure we knew he was leaving. And he's been the perfect fit for us. And I think the big area where he's going to help with the younger guys, the bigs like Lively, is his preparation and his footwork. They can't say enough about just how he goes about, kind of an old school type player, great footwork, very good passer, high basketball IQ. And he thinks he is going to continue not only to be an asset for them on the court, but also tutoring some of these younger players that are very talented for Duke.
Officials are over at the monitor right now, taking a look at if there's anything flagrant against Ryan Young here. See that push?
Yeah. I mean, anytime anytime you make contact. Now I think they're probably just going to make a common foul. Yeah,
common foul.
And I like that. It's kind of like, all right, get off me. It wasn't really like a throwing of a punch. Just, hey, get off me. Game getting a little bit physical.
If there was anything to the head, high hands to the head, then you could start talking flagrant, but that was clearly beneath the neck. Love seeing the passion and the energy from Ryan Young, though. They're going to need that from a veteran transfer like Ryan Young, a really inexperienced team anchored by this highly touted freshman class. But you mix in a transfer like Ryan Young and Jacob Grandison to provide that experience, and you know, the sky's the limit for this Duke team.
Yeah, and it's going to make for some competitive practices because guys are going to be fighting for minutes when they get back whole and get everybody healthy on this roster.
Yeah, still waiting on Lively and Whitehead. Look at that roster by class. Almost all freshmen. But you mix in those 4 grad transfers. Ryan Young's one of them. Cashes in on a possession that he kept alive.
Yeah, and that's a great pass, though, by Grandison that time. Off the spin move, and 2 veteran guys that they're going to count on to play some big minutes for Duke and provide just that right there.
Jacksonville on a scoring drought of 3 minutes now. Danger zone for the Dolphins as Duke's begins to separate themselves in the home opener here. Wide open underneath. Ryan Young, back-to-back baskets.
One of the things I noticed in shoot-around early with Jeremy Roach, he is just one of the better passers in college. I mean, he is just a floor general. That is a beautiful dime right there for a wide-open layup for Ryan Young.
Quick hands from Mark Mitchell, swats that away. The Blue Devils dialed in on both ends of the floor. Ryan Young chipping in, the transfer from Northwestern. He's got Duke up by 18. Malcolm Huckabee, Jay Alter with you. Jon Scheyer and his Duke debut as head coach up on Jacksonville by 18.
And you called it danger zone right now for Jacksonville. They are in desperate need of a bucket.
Pull up pop. They need it, don't get it from their leading scorer from a year ago, Kevion Nolan. Inside, Filipowski, the big man really stepping up in this second half, and Duke is up 20.
A great recognition that time by Ryan Young. High-low action, realizing Filipowski has the advantage. Soft touch, excellent passing, but again, back to his basketball IQ. That's what he brings to the table, Ryan Young, the transfer from Northwestern.
Jacksonville scoreless in the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Meanwhile, Duke has made their last 3 attempts. Ryan Young. Duke's getting everything they want in the paint right now.
I mean, listen, me and Jon Scheyer, we were laughing about it. He's got one of those old school games. Just one of those guys, he's not the most athletic, but just knows how to play. And right now, Duke
debut it's been for the transfer from Northwestern, Ryan Young. He's perfect from the floor, 8 points, 6 rebounds, and he's having a monster second half.
First thing Jon Scheyer said to me when I asked, what does he bring to the table? He said this right here. Footwork and then just experience. He's just a guy that understands how to play the game of basketball. What he lacks in athleticism, he makes up for it with great footwork, elite footwork, and high basketball IQ. He is not beating anybody in a foot race, but I tell you right now, he's got some of the best footwork for a big in college.
He said he's got a little bit of that YMCA lunch break game to him, which is a compliment.
One of those guys are like, man, how this guy just give me 10 straight buckets and he can't even touch the net.
And a team that's dominated by freshmen. Jon Scheyer went out and got 4 grad transfers. Young's one of them to bring that experience, that leadership. What's funny is in Coach K's 42 years at Duke, he only brought in 3 grad transfers in 4 decades. And Jon Scheyer goes and brings in 4 in his first year. That's how the game is changing college basketball in the year 2022.
Get old and get experience quick, and obviously the transfer portal has done that. And Jon Scheyer recognizing he needed to take advantage of that with this talented mix of young players he has. I like the mix that he has. Look, Ryan Young and them, they know who they are as players, and I think that's important when you bring in guys in the mix. Jon Scheyer said, look, he's going to be an asset in practice for some of these young, talented bigs.
A Blue Devils team that has certainly looked impressive in this first game of the season, still missing their top 2 freshmen, Derek Lively and Dariq Whitehead. Jacksonville really struggling in this second half. A scoring drought of 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Credit Duke's defense.
And they've done a nice job cleaning up the defensive glass. They've limited any second chance opportunities in this second half for Jacksonville.
Dolphins just 1 of 7 from the floor, 3 turnovers in this half. Those are the 2 highly touted freshmen, according to ESPN 100. These are the top 2 players in the freshman class. Lively, 7'1" center, and Dariq Whitehead, who can really play all over the floor. As Filipowski, another 5-star freshman, drains the 3. Lively, the #1 center in this freshman class, while Filipowski's the #2 center, and they're going to be teammates playing on the same court in a couple of weeks when Lively gets back to action.
And I think that's an asset that Filipowski brings, ability to stretch the defense. That's a 7-footer knocking down threes on that previous possession for Duke.
Will it be difficult to get those guys on the court at the same time?
No, I think they can, because again, if you have mobile bigs, Filipowski, I think, is going to get better defensively in his ball screen coverage, but you certainly can play those 2 together.
If you missed it earlier, Jon Scheyer said you'll see those guys sooner rather than later, just not 100%. Weren't ready for the opener, but Duke not missing them. They're up by 23 midway through the second half. Now, for the first time in 43 seasons, a Duke campaign starts without Mike Krzyzewski on the sidelines. It's Jon Scheyer. He knew he was getting the job for 17 months, announced June 2021. He told us it's kind of surreal that the day has finally arrived, that he takes that seat on the bench as the head coach. He's been on that sideline for 9 seasons. as an assistant. He's got to be happy with how his team's performing in game one of his tenure.
And, you know, obviously all eyes on him as we've been talking about. And I asked him, I said, look, you know, what's your conversations like with Coach K? And he said, look, we still talk X's and O's. Why wouldn't you? And I absolutely agree. Why wouldn't you go and seek advice from one of the best to ever do it? And, you know, certainly he's going to put his own stamp on this program. But he said, look, there's not going to be these wholesale changes with this program.
We're going to take a look at Jon Scheyer in action during the play here. It's funny. You know, I'm sure you've gotten some texts. I've gotten some texts. People want to know, where is Coach K? He's not in the arena, not in Cameron Indoor. Coach Scheyer thought he might be watching in his office or at home. Duke called for the offensive foul there. Jon Scheyer not happy about it. He's been very animated, though, throughout the night.
Well, we called 2 of his games on an interim basis. This one right here is this one's starting to count towards that record that he wants to build upon. And, you know, make no mistake about it, this guy was a competitor. He scored over 2,000 points in his Duke career. You talked about it, national champion. So not surprised to see him animated, and he is not going to be happy until there's zeros on the clock and his team has won.
You mentioned he stepped up as head coach on an interim basis twice. Duke won both games. Love getting a look at him over on that Duke sideline for the first time. But it's his team and his team alone. Funny enough, we called both of those games that he stepped up as the interim. So when he came over at shoot-around, he's like, are you the only 2 guys that do this? But just as luck would have it.
Well, Jacksonville still continuing to fight, trying to claw back into this game. They're going to have to put together some stops defensively.
They got one there. Good time to remind you, Wednesday, men's soccer ACC championship semifinals. 3rd-seeded Virginia taking on 2-seeded Syracuse. Ian McIntyre in the orange trying to win another ACC title. And then 8th-seeded Clemson, who just knocked off #1 Duke of the quarters, taking on Wake Forest. Those games on ACC Network Wednesday. And then Sunday, noon Eastern on ESPNU will be the ACC championship game. Nifty move. Kevion Nolan draws the foul.
And that was the key matchup coming into this one. I think a big reason why Duke has the lead. They've done a good job on Kevion Nolan, the guy that really is their leading scorer, guy that can get you a bucket anytime. He's going to be one of the better players in the A-Sun. But give the backcourt credit of Duke. They've done a nice job making it difficult for him to get anything going.
Ryan Young heads to the bench with 3 fouls. Mark Mitchell back into the game.
And Jay, one of the things that Mitchell brings to this Duke team, versatility, not just on the offensive end, but he's a guy that really can guard 1 through 4, can switch on ball screens, can just do a lot of different things. And I think the biggest area where he can be a really good player on the defensive end.
Shows the range, too. An unorthodox shot from the lefty, but it goes in. He's up to 14 points in his Duke debut.
If he's knocking down shots, watch out with his handle and athleticism.
How about the hustle, Jalen Blakes? Mitchell. That time missed it, and it would have taken the roof off Cameron Indoor.
Well, Jon Scheyer has to be happy with how his team is sharing the ball. They're playing really unselfish, and that's something he talked about with this team. He wanted to see. He wanted to see them all share the ball. Obviously, be aggressive. They want to play fast, but guys are getting into the lane, and then they're finding open teammates.
Yeah, Duke's been really active defensively. Sometimes they get a hand to it, and it's a takeaway or deflects out of bounds. That time, Jeremy Roach called for the foul, but you can see Jon Scheyer used the word aggressive to us today. I want these guys to be aggressive, and sometimes that's going to result in a foul, and for Jeremy Roach, that's his fourth. But the aggression has certainly shown up tonight in the home opener.
Yeah, and I think once they're back whole, you add in Lively, you add in Whitehead, they're going to be a very good defensive team as they progress through this season.
Cook, pull up pop. Too much on it. You mentioned those two guys, Lively and Whitehead. Jon Scheyer reminded us he's yet to have a full practice with his full team. Think about that. Not one practice where he's had everybody available on the same day.
And I think it hurts on all aspects, but the little things. We saw him at shoot-around today working on rotations and ball screens. Help side, how we're going to defend ball screens. Are we icing? Are we hedging hard? Are we trapping? Not having those young guys out there learning that and then playing together as a unit, it's going to take some time for them to ramp up. And I think where it's going to show up the most early on is defensively. But believe me, they have the talent. It's just going to take a little time.
Blake's called for a foul. That's his first, but the Blue Devils have committed 6 fouls already in this second half, and there's still 9 minutes left in it. So Jacksonville's in the bonus on the next Duke foul.
And that's something you don't want. Virginia, probably one of the better teams in college basketball, playing great defense without fouling. You don't mind guys being aggressive. You just don't want to put teams in a bonus situation. Obviously, you got to lead now. You don't want to give them freebies and stop the clock.
Contested three. Off the mark again. Jacksonville really struggling from deep. 1 of 11 from 3. Ripped away. Dolphins have numbers. 3-on-1. Filipowski got a piece of it. That's a goaltend, though. Wanted to add a block to what is already a double-double tonight for Filipowski. 10 points, 10 rebounds, but that won't be a block. He's in the cylinder. Timeout on the floor. Blue Devils leading by 20. Duke looking good without Coach K on the sideline. New college basketball season tipping off tonight. Happy to be here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Take a look at the ACC preseason poll. Malcolm Huckabee. It's early, but overall thoughts at how the league looks this season.
Well, North Carolina, clearly the front runner.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean, Armando Bacot, Mr. Double-Double, but for me, it's their backcourt. R.J. Davis and Caleb Love, arguably, if not the best backcourt in college basketball. Those two guys are very good. If you want to call it a sleeper, Notre Dame. I mean, I love Dane Goodwin, the way he operates. They got some veteran guys. It should be another interesting, competitive year in the ACC conference.
That's going to go against Jacksonville. You were just talking about Armando Bacot in North Carolina. They're coming up right after us. We'll get you to the Dean Dome for UNC Wilmington and North Carolina. And after that, the Nothing But Net crew will recap the first night of college basketball. A lot of games going on in the ACC. They'll be live from Chapel Hill, 11 p.m. Eastern time, right here on ACC Network. Impressive. That crew's on the move. They were here for halftime and before the game, and now over to Chapel Hill. Luckily, an easy drive right down the road. You know, you look at that ACC poll, Duke #2. You know, Blue Devils, you're going to give them respect because of the history, and obviously on paper they look really good with the transfers like Ryan Young, who just scored, and the freshmen. You just never know how it's going to blend for a new head coach And yet, early sample size against an ASUN team, it's looked pretty good out of the gate.
Yeah, and I think, though, the big thing is they got to get back full strength so you can have your unit on there and he can figure out his rotations, in particular for the new guys, the freshmen, adjusting to college ball. It's just a different feel, and certainly that's a work in progress. I'll tell you who's been impressive, though. Mike Marsh for Jacksonville. He's done some really good things. Great hands, has continued to play hard on both ends. Would you take a look at his numbers? Efficient, really. Every time he's touched it, good things have happened, and a pretty efficient night for him.
And he's got 15 points to lead Jacksonville. And you know, for the Dolphins, obviously you would have loved to come in here and shock the world on the first night of college basketball, but Jordan Mincy knows this team has one goal and one goal only. That's to win the ASUN tournament, get into the NCAA tournament. They fell just short a year ago, made it all the way to the championship game and lost. It'd be the first time they went dancing since 1986. And the fact that this team's even thinking they have a shot to do that shows what Jordan Mincy has accomplished in just 2 years on the job.
I'll say it again, buy stock now in Jordan Mincy. He is doing an outstanding job with this Jacksonville program. We already talked about it. They extended him after the first year of what he's done. They are going to be a tough out in the ASUN.
Active hands swiped away by Ryan Young. He's making a big impact on both ends of the floor tonight, the transfer from Northwestern. How do you not love his energy, the way he plays, attacks the game?
I'll tell you who loves it, this Duke coaching staff. And that's what they needed. That's what you want your older guys, a veteran guy, doing.
Right on cue, Ryan Young delivers again. Contested three, it has not been easy. Duke really dialed in on defense in the second half.
Yeah, and that was an emphasis. Again, in shoot-around, they did not want to give them open looks, but I think the key thing is, again, on the defensive glass, Jacksonville, one of the better offensive rebounding teams, and they've done a nice job in this second half.
Jacksonville 1 of 17 from 3. If you go cold in this building, it can be very unforgiving.
I know personally.
I didn't mean to go there on you.
You're kind of looking at me side-eyed, and I know how you are, partner, and you're pulling up the old YouTube videos.
No, I wasn't bringing up the box score.
Grant Hill dunking on my head. It was my second college game, but you're right. It is one of the most difficult places to play, and I think what's gotten away from Jacksonville defensively, they've been unable, and give credit to really Jeremy Roach and Mark Mitchell in that first half. At the end, they went on a little mini run and kind of blew this thing open.
That might have been the best look of the night. Jacksonville still can't bury it. They do get the offensive rebound, though. O'Hearn, that's their best shooter. Got a really good look, and the struggles continue. 1 of 19 from 3 now for Jacksonville. Jon Scheyer elects to take a timeout. Somebody lost a shoe. It was the sophomore Jalen Blakes. Duke's dominance continues in the opener. Comfortable for Jon Scheyer and this Duke team to start this era. How about the 5-star freshman into his Duke debut, Kyle Filipowski, a double-double.
Well, he's been impressive right here, finishing with the left hand. I think this is what is going to be key for him. His ability to stretch the floor is impressive, but playing defense, I think that allows Jon Scheyer to be versatile with his lineups. He has had an impressive debut, as you talked about, efficient, double-double. You can't ask for more if you're Jon Scheyer and staff from your freshman big.
A roster that's been completely overhauled in the offseason. Jeremy Roach, who's still on the floor, the lone returning starter from that Final Four team a year ago. 4 transfers, 7 freshmen. One of them, Mark Mitchell, he's had a huge night, 18 points. Now, he and Filipowski leading the way for this highly touted freshman class.
And Ryan Young's done that a couple times tonight, where he's made a nice cross-court pass. Again, unselfish, sharing the ball, seeing the double team coming, and then make a beautiful pass over to the freshman, Mark Mitchell. And Jay, that was not one of his strengths, but Mitchell really has shot the ball well from beyond the arc. I love his versatility. I think he can be a guy that can be a really good defender for this Duke team, but he has shot the ball well tonight.
Jon Scheyer, when we asked him to describe Mark Mitchell as the freshman, checks out of this game to a huge roar from the Cameron Crazies. He said, you know, he's really unique. It's unorthodox. Everything about his game is unique, but it works. Trust me, it works, and we've seen that tonight. And I asked Chris Carey, well, does he remind you of anybody? He had pause, and he said, we went way back. I don't even think you were born. He said, no. Stacey Augmon, the plastic man, that's who he reminded him. I can't take credit for it. And I said, yeah, he kind of does. Same type body, wiry, good handle, really versatile, and he has been fun to watch. How many kids on the court or watching at home know that name? Not enough. A lot of us basketball heads definitely remember the plastic man, Stacey Augmon. Heck of a player for that UNLV team. Jacksonville has only mustered 12 points in this second half. Talk about that Duke defensive lockdown in these 17 minutes. But Jordan Mincy knows, look, this game is going to continue to prepare his team. They're already battle tested. This is just going to make them better. And again, you look at them, they are going to be a very good team in the ASUN. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the NCAA tournament. Remember, they were in the championship game last year after being picked almost dead last by a lot of folks. They aren't sleeping on or sneaking up on anybody this season. Pick number 2 in the ASUN, and again, he's got a lot of nice pieces. Well, basketball is back in the ACC, and football rolls on. Week 10 this Saturday on ACC Network. A loaded slate. It starts at noon. Pittsburgh and Virginia, Boston College, NC State, and then primetime Florida State at Syracuse. That's all this Saturday on ACC Network. Overlap season is here in the ACC. We got hoops, we got football. Jaden Shoot does just that, but misfires, and that is his real last name. The freshman getting his first action. Another attempt. Misfires again. That's the best name in college basketball. Shoot. Jon Scheyer had a little fun with that. He said, oh, no pun intended, he can shoot it. And they're going to rely on him to continue to get better. And when he gets those open opportunities like he's had, he said, look, he shot the ball really well in practice. Shoot comes from Yorkville Christian High School in Illinois. There's a couple of Illinois natives as well. The proud parents of Jon Scheyer, Jim and Lori Scheyer. Jon, the youngest of 3 children from Northbrook, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. How much pride they must feel watching their son at the age of 35 in his head coaching debut of his alma mater here at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Yeah, and when we talked to him, I sensed a calm and a cool, collected guy. Again, we've done 2 of his games where he filled in for Coach K. He seemed relaxed, and I thought it was very interesting when we asked him the advice or the conversations that he's had with Coach K, and he said, look,
don't be too hard on yourself. And he said, look, you know, guys, I'm so competitive. I'm a guy that wants to make sure everything's perfect. And Coach K said, look, pump the brakes a little bit. Things are not always going to go as smoothly as you want. Just stick with the process. And I think his staff as well, too. He talked about the staff that he has put together, and I think that's going to be an important part for all these young men out on the court, the development, all the young talented players that they have.
Finally, the lid comes off from three. That's Jacksonville's second triple of the night on more than 20 attempts.
And that's a nice find, though, by Jalen Nesmith. Now, again, he hasn't gotten the assist, but he set guys up for some pretty high-quality looks. They've just been unable to connect, but he's been in the paint trying to find guys, and fortunately, they just went cold in the second half.
Overall, how would you assess this Duke performance in the opening to this season?
Well, it started with Jeremy Roach. He was impressive. He set the tone. I talked about it at the tip. He needed to be the leader. We talked about him being the lone captain. He set the tone defensively. We talked about it. Kevion Nolan, the best player for Jacksonville, he took that assignment on. But offensively, not only did he score, he set his guys up. I think Filipowski was impressive. But Mark Mitchell, he raised some eyebrows in this one right here.
Totally.
His versatility. Look, the veteran guys, you know what they are. Ryan Young was impressive, but that's what he does. That's what he was brought here for. But the two young guys, Mitchell and Filipowski, those two guys really impressed me in this performance for Duke.
I think the big question for this Blue Devils team is, look, they came out and took care of business today. When they face adversity, when they hit adversity for the first time this season with a new head coach in Jon Scheyer, with 7 freshmen and 4 grad transfers playing together for the first time, how will they respond to that? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, I think they need to get healthy. And again, a lot of that has to do with practice time together. Those end-of-game situations, if you don't have your key guys out there and they're trying to play catch-up, becomes very difficult. And I think it shows up in those close games, end-of-game situations, defensively, offensively. What are you doing? Those 1 or 2 possession games, I think as quickly as they can get full and healthy, I think that's going to determine how fast all these guys catch up and see the progression as the season goes on.
Yeah, and that health, again, according to Jon Scheyer, should come sooner rather than later. Both guys nearing 100%. Derek Lively and Dariq Whitehead, the 2 top players in the class of 2022. Certainly saw flashes tonight. A promising season, even though Coach K is not over on that sideline. This is still Duke basketball. The Cameron Crazies have been loud. They've played like we expect them to play.
And it all started with, obviously, the crowd. You talked about it, the energy in this building. But defensively, in the second half, they were impressive.
Trying to get one more bucket at the end of this game. Battling through, muscling it up and in. Christian Reeves. Another one of these talented freshmen out of Oak Hill. Putting the cherry on top here in the Duke opener.
This is just great work. Crowd loving that second and third effort. Offensive rebound, take the hit and finish.
Well, the Jon Scheyer era has started with a win. Duke dominant in their home opener, the first of many for the new head coach here in Durham.
Impressive performance. They took care of business. The other thing I'll say, Jeremy Roach, is one of the best guards in college basketball, not just the ACC. It's going to be fun to watch him operate all season.
College basketball is back for Malcolm Huckabee. I'm Jay Alter. It continues with North Carolina. Let's get it to Kelsey Riggs.